Video preview.
Hey everyone, it's Marko Djordjic. We are in downtown San Francisco, but we are also going to be going into the forest with Activision. They've brought in Cabela's Big Game Hunter 2012 and a new game called Survival Shadows of Katmai. Let's go check it out. So I'm now here with Tim May of Cabela's, who's going to show off the new game Survival Shadows of Katmai. Is that correct?
That's right, but I'm really from Activision.
Okay.
So I have been making the Cabela's games for the last 3 years. This one is Shadows of Katmai. It's a 3PS game, and the most important thing to get out of this is really a look at this gun. We make this for the 360 and the PS3, and a housing for the Wii. And these controls are really super ergonomic. They're actually based around trying to give people. We started out with an FPS game last year for this. This year we wanted to do a 3PS game and give you some more interesting and fun things to do. So I don't know if you guys ever played a game called Robotron back in the arcades a million years ago. What you ended up doing on that was you used one stick to control your guy and the other stick to shoot. So the kind of thinking behind this was very similar. I wanted to be able to get a lot of control of my guy, but then take advantage of this gun for being able to shoot very rapidly to anywhere that I wanted to on screen. So that's what we've been doing here. We built basically a game that puts you in a moment of high peril. You play a guy that is a bush pilot out in Alaska, and you take on a job to fly this doctor, Dr. Karen West, out to places unknown. You don't quite know why, but the money's really good. So you take the job on, and of course what happens, the biggest storm in a decade hits, and you come down in the plane, you crash. And if you guys take a look around in here, you'll see a little model of the plane in the truck. So plane crashes, you wake up moments later, and you're looking around, you can't see the doctor or anything, you're kind of really woozy. You get up, you're out of the plane, and wolves are attacking straight away.
Now, how much of the game is just action and how much of it is, you know, traversing and like doing everything on foot?
I'd say the split on there is probably about 40% shooting and high action moments, and about 60% of this traversal and figuring out what's happening in the story. It kind of varies around. It really depends how you play as well. There's a lot of kind of little secrets to be discovered in here. One of the other things about this, though, is this is really only half of the game in the single-player story mode. We have a whole other section to this, which is riffing again from what we did last year, and much more like an arcade game. In fact, it really is an arcade game. You can play it with two guns if you get a second gun, or you can play a gun versus a controller on this. Hard to balance controllers, but we've done the best that we can around that. There's all kinds of like pickups and things that you have in there. There are tracks, there are additional things you open up as you're kind of playing the game out inside of the main story level. So I think the story level in this probably is shortish, probably adds up to about 4 or 5 hours in the story, and then there are at least another 4 or 5 hours of playing through the arcade side of this. And it's an arcade game, so really that stuff kind of lasts forever, right? You can just kind of keep going back and playing in different ways, playing as a multiplayer and experimenting. So that's a bunch of what I have to tell you about this. It's a lot of fun. Takes you probably about 5 minutes or so to get used to controlling your character on the one hand and aiming with another. It's a mechanic that you haven't really played before.
All right, Tim, thank you very much for showing us Survival Shadows of Katmai. And so when can we expect this game to hit stores?
It's going to be out on the 1st of November, 2011. So what is that? That's like 11/1/11? I got it right.
Nice. Now let's check out the other game, Cabela's Big Game Hunt 2012.
Awesome. Let's go.
So now we're about to watch Big Game Hunter 2012. So what's new this year's version?
Okay, so this year's version of Big Game Hunter 2012 is an arcade game on one half of it, and then it's a story mode on the other side of it. We tell a really interesting story behind this. Both of the games that we made this year, the guy that wrote the story for this is a guy that worked on things like Ratchet and Clank, Start of Resistance, Fall of Man, worked on some of the LucasArts games. So a lot of storytelling behind this. The story of this tells the story of the Order of Orion. It's an elite hunting club that kind of is a made-up thing of our own, and it puts you into a position of being an elite hunter that competes against the very best in the world to show who's the best, and there's some shenanigans go on in there. So that's the story. Then that back out on the other side of this, you see the arcade games that we had in Dangerous Hunts last year. We've kind of taken 5 levels beyond where they were. There are all kinds of new mechanics in here. This is something called reflex mode, where it's actually kind of playing a little bit of Simon Says with you, where it's asking you to do things in a certain order in order to score maximum points, and it keeps pushing you and pushing you and pushing you and adding one more plate on top, one more plate on top. The visual on this we've really pushed this year again. Really vast, expansive environments. It's a 2-player simultaneous game. We support things like inside of the story mode of this. We also support a lot of side quest things where you'll be finding like really rare animals like a bald eagle, taking pictures of those things, and that's the kind of stuff that we'll push out to Facebook of like, hey, look what I found in here. We're actually showing a lot of the real things that hunters do. We're taking into account a lot of real mechanics. It's awesome. It's an awesome experience when you get a hold of this gun, and you have to do the same thing you have to do in real life on this, right? Which is, as you've got a target that's say 400 yards away, you're trying to scope that thing out really carefully. You've actually got to hold your breath to shoot the gun, and you've got to figure out, hey, here is my bullet drop on this thing, and here's my windage. It's a very unique experience that you really can't get.
So when can we expect Big Game Hunter 2012 to hit stores?
This is coming out at the end of September, September 27th, I believe. You may need to fact check me on that.
And that'll be on all consoles?
All consoles, PS3, 360, and out on the Wii.
Perfect. Well, Tim, thank you very much for giving us the time to check out Cabela's Big Game Hunter and Survival Shadows of Katmai. Once again, thank you very much.